Hey, it's Ev. So this is a video I never really had any plans to make because a couple of days ago I got a really unexpected letter, and that was a letter from Daventry Gender Clinic, the NHS one, offering me my first appointment there. And the reason that's quite surprising, if you don't know my situation, is because firstly I'm quite far in my transition. I started transitioning privately with gender care, but secondly, since then I've actually switched over to an NHS gender clinic, which is the one in London, and they've fully taken over my care. I've had 2 appointments with them. They've finished the initial assessment and they've given me my first referral, or my first signature, so that I can get referred for lower surgery. So having a first appointment at Daventry Gender Identity Clinic is really not something I need or something. Okay, my camera just turned itself off, but I was just saying, an appointment at Daventry is not something I need. I don't need to be assessed by them. I don't need to move from the London GIC to Daventry GIC. But it's not a complete mystery why this has happened. To explain why they sent me this letter, we need to go way back to when I first came out and I first went to a doctor and told them I was trans. I went to the GP surgery I was with at the time, who were very awful, and I said, I'm transgender, I want to transition, I've got some money that I want to use to go with gender care, and I asked them to do shared care with gender care. That's something I've talked about in other videos, and I might go a bit more into that later, but basically they were very, very against me going private with gender care, but said that they would refer me to an NHS GIC. I told them I wanted to go to the one in London, because at the time that had the shortest waiting list. They said okay. I can't remember how long later, but at some point they sent me a letter to say they'd refer me to Daventry, which isn't what I wanted. So I went back and I told them I wanted to be referred to London, like I asked the first time, because they had a shorter waiting list. She didn't really seem to believe me, but she did agree that she would refer me to London. And obviously I was right, because now I've had 2 appointments there. They've finished my assessment and Daventry's only just sending me a letter. But anyway, she said, okay, I'm not going to cancel your referral to Daventry. I think she still thought that they would be quicker. She said I would refer you to both clinics, and whichever one gets back to me first, I can just go with them. Because she had also given me a lot of other misinformation and I knew that she was a bit of a shit doctor, I didn't really believe her. I thought, if you could just be referred to multiple GICs and go with the quickest one, wouldn't everyone do that? Wouldn't that be like a well-known thing that people talk about? I've never heard anyone mention that. Turns out she was right. So I was referred to both. I was referred to the Daventry one I think in June 2017, and by the time I've got her to refer me to the London one, that was July 2017. In January 2019 I had my first London appointment. In May 2020 I had my second London appointment, and now in October 2020 Daventry is just sending me a letter about a first appointment, which I assume would have been like next month or the month after if I'd have taken it. So yeah, this doctor was quite shit and annoying and not very nice, but she did get one thing right. Apparently you can be referred to multiple GICs and just go with the quickest one. I really thought all this time that as soon as I was referred to the London one, it cancelled my first referral to the Daventry one, since I'd still never heard anything. I didn't think I'd ever get a letter from them. I am also quite confused how they knew where I live, because the London gender clinic is always checking with me where I live. It doesn't seem like information that just updates on their system automatically. And I've moved 4 times since I was referred to the Daventry one, and I've never told them any of this. I've only lived here for 2 months, and that's the first letter I've ever received to this address. All of my other letters still go to my mum's house, and I've only just told my GP where I actually live. It probably would have been a few days before that letter was sent. Because I used to lie about where I live so I could stay at a good GP practice, because I was scared of going back to one. Not that I'd go back to the original one, but I was scared of moving a GP practice and then they'd be as shit as the first one. but now I don't lie anymore, so you can't get me in trouble. If it needs clarifying, I'm obviously not taking the appointment, so it will just go to someone else. That's fine. I would have informed them that I don't need to be on the list earlier, but I really didn't think I was still on the list. Just to give a bit more information about what happened with this GP, she told me that she really knew about this stuff and she knew what she was talking about. She then told me going to gender care would be illegal, that she would report them, which, if she did, it's been years and gender care is still around, and so obviously they're not illegal, and she's wrong. She told me I wouldn't be able to find another GP that would agree to shared care, or it's not even that she was saying I couldn't have shared care and that she'd rather not do it. She was like, that's illegal, which is complete misinformation. She also told me the NHS waiting lists weren't that long, and however long they were, that's because that's how long they need to be. It's the way it's designed for me to help me. If I'd have just gone with her original idea of referring me to Daventry and not going with gender care and not going with the London one because she didn't think that would be quicker, I wouldn't even be anywhere near being on testosterone right now, and that's 3.5 years or something. So yeah, I did move GP and sorted things out for myself, and now I'm 3 years on testosterone. I don't even know how far post-op I am. I had top surgery in July 2018. I don't even know. I'm quite far into my transition, and like I said, the London clinic has taken over my care, so I would have been on testosterone now if I was with them, but I wouldn't be anywhere near being on testosterone now if I went with the Daventry one. And I've had my first lower surgery signature as well. So, but even though this doctor was obviously in a position of power and she was telling me that she knew what she was talking about and basically saying she knew what she was talking about more than me, I had to just ignore her and sort it out for myself and make change for myself and make it happen. Just because she's a doctor, that didn't mean that she knew better, and she absolutely did not know better. I tried speaking to other doctors at that GP practice. They basically backed her up. I wrote to the practice manager. They backed her up. At the time as well, I wasn't able to move to another GP practice in my local area because none would take on new patients if they already had a doctor in the area and they were just moving out of choice. Luckily, I was moving away to uni, so when I moved to Birmingham, I was able to get a doctor here. Yeah, the main point of this video is just sometimes your GP will stand in the way of your transition in many other ways other than this as well, and they think they know best, and they don't always know best. Sometimes you have to fight for it or write to your practice manager, try and complain, try and move. First try and see other doctors within that doctor's practice. If that doesn't work, try and move to a completely different doctor's practice. And also the tip that you can get referred to multiple gender identity clinics and then just go with whichever one works fastest. I've never heard anyone say that, and if that's true, which it looks like it is, because that's what I did, apparently, yeah, that should be more well known, I think. Also, if you've been referred somewhere and then you realise that the wait is way longer than you think, you may as well get referred to somewhere with a shorter waiting list. And I've seen people saying, oh, but I've already been on this list for 1 month, so it would be a waste, of that 1 month's wait to just change. But it could mean getting your treatment years earlier. If you do try and get referred to a different gender clinic than the first one you got referred to, make sure, if you don't want to be taken off the first list, make sure your GP knows that what they're meant to do isn't cancel that one and make a new one, and just make it clear you want to be referred to both. Another common issue is GPs not wanting to change your title, or the receptionist not wanting to change your title at the doctor's surgery and saying, oh, you can't be Mr. until you have a gender recognition certificate, or until you've had lower surgery, or until you've had a hysterectomy. None of that is true. Even at this awful doctor's practice I was originally at, that they didn't want to let me go private and they were giving me all this misinformation and stuff. I just said, before I was even diagnosed, before I'd done anything, can I be Mr. on the system? I want to change my name as well. And they were just like, yeah. because you can. You definitely can. You don't need to be mix or MX just because you're trans. Anyone can change their social title as long as it's not like for fraudulent purposes. You don't need to have any surgeries or treatment to do that. Sometimes people just don't know how to do their jobs properly, and often it's probably not intentional on their part, and they probably think that they're in the right. I think the doctor that I saw that wanted me to go on the long waiting list and not go private, I really think she thought that I needed to wait because I was having some kind of phase and I was a stupid little girl or something. That's the impression I got. I think she probably did know what she was talking about and just didn't want me to be able to transition quickly and wanted to make me wait as long as possible. And also, just in case anyone is watching this and doesn't know and needs to know, when you get referred to a GIC, you definitely don't have to be referred to the one that's nearest to where you live. In England, I don't know if it's different in Wales and Scotland and Ireland and France, but in England, you definitely don't. It is a bit weird to get a letter like this and then be turning it down when at the time I was so desperate to be referred and to be seen like as quickly as possible, and like I was fighting for that, and now I have this letter and I'm like, oh, literally useless. But yeah, if you're looking for Daventry GIC wait times, obviously currently they're now seeing patients that were referred around June 2017. But what is important to know when thinking about GIC wait times is, say they're seeing June 2017 now, that doesn't mean next month they're going to be seeing July 2017, because they could take a few months to see patients referred in 1 month. It doesn't go month by month like that. You could be referred 1 month after someone and wait like 9 months extra or even more. I've heard of like way worse than that happening. Okay, so that's about it. I'm not expecting my next gender clinic appointment to be like well over a year from now, because I just had my last one in May. Yeah, my 3 years on T video should be coming out soon. That's next month. Well, it's October when I'm filming this. You'll probably be seeing this in November. And I'll also be making another transition timeline from like 1 year to 3 years on T. So subscribe if you want to see that. So, yeah, my 3 years on T video should